Welcome back to Clinical Crash Course. I'm Dr. Collins. So, we've absolutely nailed the fantastic 4 pillars of heart failure treatment, right? These are the core medications that are proven to save lives.
But here's the million-dollar question. What happens when they just aren't enough? You've got the patients on all the right meds, but they're still symptomatic, and that heart is still weak. Well, that's what we're tackling today in Module 5, our deep dive into advanced therapies. We're talking digoxin and devices.
Okay, quick disclaimer as always. This is all for your educational and exam prep. This is not medical advice. For your actual patients, you always consult the official clinical guidelines. Let's get into it. All right, Sarah, let's kick things off with an old classic, digoxin. Now, we know it doesn't actually improve mortality, but it's definitely still in the guidelines because it's great at reducing hospitalizations. So, for the boards, what is the core mechanism of action we absolutely need to know? Okay, so it's a 4-step chain reaction. First, digoxin blocks the sodium-potassium pump. This makes sodium build up inside the cell. That sodium buildup then causes a calcium buildup. And more calcium means 2 things. A stronger heart squeeze, that's positive inotropy, and it also slows conduction through the AV node, giving us a slower heart rate, that's negative chronotropy.
Exactly. It's that simple. For your exams, just burn this into your brain. Digoxin makes the heart squeeze stronger and the rate slower. But, and this is critical, it offers absolutely no survival benefit.
Now, Sarah, let's pivot to something really memorable, a classic board question that connects pharmacology to art history. I'm talking about digoxin toxicity. Oh, this is one of my favorite medical stories. The theory is that Van Gogh himself was suffering from digitalis toxicity. You see, his own doctor was treating him with an extract from the foxglove plant, which is where we get digitalis compounds like digoxin.
Right, and one of the most classic signs of this toxicity is something called Xanthopsia. It's this bizarre visual disturbance where everything looks yellow, and you see these distinct halos around lights. Now, just look at his masterpiece, Starry Night. You can literally see that effect in the painting. It's the perfect visual mnemonic. Xanthopsia, you have to remember that word. I promise you, it is an absolute board favorite. Don't forget it.
And that brings me to our question of the day for the whole Clinical Crash Course community. I'm really curious about this. In your clinical practice, have you actually seen a case of digoxin toxicity? Or is it becoming a bit of a relic? Let us know your experience down in the comments. Okay, Dr. Collins, now for the really advanced stuff, the hardware. Let's talk devices. When does a patient get an ICD and when do they get a CRT? These criteria are so specific and super high yield for the USMLE. All right, everyone, listen up because this is as high yield as it gets. An ICD, the Implantable Cardioverter-Defibrillator, is there to shock the heart out of a lethal rhythm. Its job is to prevent sudden cardiac death. A CRT, Cardiac Resynchronization Therapy, is different. It's a special kind of pacemaker designed to get the heart's chambers beating in sync again. So let's break down the indications, starting with the ICD. The primary reason a patient gets one of these comes down to a single critical number. The indication is an ejection fraction that is less than 35%. And this is key. That's after they've been on at least 3 months of optimal guideline-directed medical therapy. And what about for a CRT, that biventricular pacemaker? Well, it starts with that exact same EF cutoff, but then you have to add an electrical requirement on top of it. So for CRT, the indication is that same ejection fraction of less than 35%, plus an electrical problem. Specifically, a wide QRS complex that is greater than 150 milliseconds. And it has to have a left bundle branch block morphology. Sync the wide, shock the weak. Simple enough? Got it. And there you have it. You have just built the complete framework for understanding heart failure. You've got the pillars, and now you have the advanced therapies. But to truly crush your boards, you need those final rapid-fire board pearls. You know, the tricky contraindications, the specific toxicities, and the key prognostic factors. So don't stop now. Make sure you're subscribed to Clinical Crash Course and click right here on the final module of the series, our rapid review and secrets. Let's finish this strong and master this material together. Click it now.